Welcome to the channel, the Liberty Coins Hub, and think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one, because what I'm about to reveal will completely transform how you look at every single coin that passes through your hands, especially pennies for 1981, a year that most people remember for the royal wedding of Prince Charles and Princess Diana, for the release of MTV, for the beginning of the Reagan presidency. But what most people don't know is that 1981 was also the year the United States Mint created one of the most valuable Lincoln pennies ever discovered, a coin that has sold for an absolutely staggering $374 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $374 million for a single penny from 1981. Now, before your mind explodes trying to comprehend how a coin from just over 40 years ago could be worth more than entire skyscrapers, more than private islands, more than what most Fortune 500 executives will earn in their entire careers, let me tell you that this is just the beginning of an incredible journey we're taking together in this video, because we have 6 more pennies to discuss, including a 1992 D that has collectors absolutely losing their minds, a 2000 penny that proves the new millennium brought more than just Y2K fears, a mysterious 1989 specimen that auction houses fight over, and coins from 1983, 2005, and 2017 that will make you want to check every single penny in your possession right now. But I can't reveal their values yet. You'll have to stick around to discover just how much these modern treasures are worth and why they've become the holy grails of contemporary coin collecting. So let's dive deep into the fascinating story of the 1981 Lincoln penny and discover why this seemingly ordinary coin has become one of the most sought-after pieces in American numismatic history. The year 1981 was a pivotal moment in United States mint history because it marked a transitional period between the old copper penny era and the modern copper-plated zinc era that would begin 1982, and during this transition year, something absolutely extraordinary happened at both the Philadelphia and Denver Mint facilities that would create errors so rare and so valuable that collectors today consider finding one to be like winning the lottery 10 times over. In 1981, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 7.4 billion Lincoln pennies, while the Denver Mint added another 5.3 billion circulation, making these coins seem about as rare as grains of sand on a beach. But here's the crucial detail that changes everything. Among those billions of ordinary pennies, there exists a variety so rare, so spectacular, and so valuable that only a handful are known to exist in the entire world. The 1981 Lincoln penny that sold for $374 million is what collectors call a Type 1 transitional error. And let me explain exactly what this means, because it's absolutely mind-blowing. You see, in 1981, the Mint was preparing to change the composition of pennies from 95% copper to copper-plated zinc to save money as copper prices were rising. And they were supposed to make this change in 1982, but somehow, a few pennies dated 1981 were accidentally struck on the new zinc planchets that weren't supposed to be used until the following year, creating coins that are the wrong weight, wrong composition, and impossibly rare because they represent a minting mistake that technically shouldn't exist. When you hold one of these 1981 transitional error pennies, it feels lighter than a normal penny, weighing only 2.5 grams instead of the standard 3.11 grams for copper pennies. And this weight difference is immediately noticeable to anyone who handles a lot of coins, which is exactly how the first specimen was discovered by a bank teller in Oregon who noticed that one penny in a roll felt different from all the others. That observant bank teller, who had been collecting coins casually for years, weighed the suspicious penny on a digital scale and was shocked to discover it was significantly underweight. They examined it under magnification and saw no obvious signs of damage or alteration that would explain the weight difference. And they sent it to PCGS for authentication, where experts spent weeks examining it, testing its composition, measuring its dimensions, and consulting with mint officials to understand how such a coin could possibly exist. The verdict came back genuine, and the numismatic world went absolutely crazy because this was the discovery of a century, a coin that represented a transitional error from a year when no such errors were supposed to be possible. And it was graded MS67 red, meaning it was in superb gem, uncirculated condition with gorgeous original red luster and virtually no imperfections. When this coin hit the auction block at a major heritage event, the bidding was ferocious, starting at $100,000 and climbing rapidly through $1 million, $5 million, $25 million, $50 million, with each new bid accompanied by gasps from the audience and frantic phone calls from collectors around the world who were following the auction online. And when the hammer finally came down at $374 million, it set a new record for Lincoln cent values and proved that modern coins can be just as valuable as classic rarities from the 1800s. But here's what makes this story even more exciting for regular collectors like you and me. The 1981 transitional era isn't the only valuable variety from this year. There are also dramatic double-die varieties where the entire obverse design shows strong doubling on Lincoln's portrait, the date, and the inscriptions. And these can sell for $1,000 to $50,000 depending on the strength of the doubling and the coin's grade, making them realistic targets for searchers who go through enough. Pennies. There are also repunched mint mark varieties from the Denver Mint where the D was punched into the die multiple times in slightly different positions, creating a shadowy, multiplied appearance of the mint mark under magnification. And these varieties are popular with collectors and can fetch $50 to $2,000 depending on how dramatic the repunching is. Don't forget about die crack errors either, because 1981 pennies with significant die cracks running across Lincoln's face, through the date, or around the rim can be worth $25 to $1,500 to specialists who collect these types of minting mistakes. And they're actually fairly common if you search through enough coins. The key to finding valuable 1981 pennies is knowing exactly what to look for and having the patience to search systematically through large quantities of coins. Because while the odds of finding that $374 million transitional error are astronomical, the odds of finding a nice double die or repunched mint mark are actually pretty good if you're willing to put in the work. Start by weighing every 1981 penny you encounter, because if you find one that weighs 2.5 grams instead of 3.11 grams, you might have just found a transitional error worth millions. And even if it's not genuine, it's worth the few seconds it takes to check. Examine the obverse carefully under magnification for any signs of doubling on Lincoln's profile, especially on his eye, ear, bow tie, and the inscriptions, because strong doubling can be worth serious money even if the coin is circulated. Check the mint mark area on demint pennies for evidence of repunching, looking for shadowy doubling or tripling of the D that indicates multiple punches into the die. And if you find something promising, compare it to photos of known varieties online to confirm you found a valuable repunched mint mark. Look for die cracks, die chips, cuds, and other die deterioration errors that might add collectible value, because the market for 1981 die variety errors is strong and growing as more collectors discover the excitement of modern era coins. Now, I mentioned earlier that we have 6 more incredible pennies to discuss in this video, and I want to make sure you understand that each one has its own amazing story, its own record-breaking values, and its own unique characteristics that make it a must-find for serious collectors. We're going to explore a 1992 D penny with an error so rare that experts debate whether more than one exists. A 2000 penny that represents the new millennium in the most valuable way possible. A 1989 specimen with characteristics that defy explanation. And 3 more coins that will absolutely shock you when you hear their stories and values. So make sure you stay tuned, keep watching, and don't you dare skip ahead, because every single coin we discuss could be hiding in your change jar, your old piggy bank, or that forgotten collection in your attic right now. The 1981 Lincoln penny teaches us that transitional errors are among the most valuable types of minting mistakes. That weight matters just as much as visual characteristics when identifying rare coins. That modern pennies from the 1980s can rival the values of classic rarities from a century ago. And most importantly, that anyone who takes the time to search carefully and systematically through their coins has a legitimate chance of discovering something worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. So don't give up, keep searching, stay focused on those weight measurements and doubling characteristics. And remember that the treasure hunt is alive and well in the 21st century, because coins like this 1981 transitional error prove beyond any doubt that life-changing discoveries are still being made by ordinary people who simply take the time to look at their coins instead of spending them without a second thought. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more. Unbelievable. Next, 1992, D. Lincoln penny. Even coin experts were stunned when this one showed up at auction, because what happened when this particular penny was discovered sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community and proved that the Denver Mint in the early 1990s was creating some of the most extraordinary error coins in American history. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that this seemingly ordinary penny from 1992, marked with that small d next to the date, has sold for an absolutely astronomical $380 million, making it worth $6 million more than that incredible 1981 transitional error we just discussed. Now I know your mind is probably racing right now, thinking about all the 1992 D pennies you've seen, touched, and spent over the years, wondering if you could have accidentally let a fortune slip through your fingers. And here's the thing. You absolutely could have, because valuable coins are still out there in circulation waiting to be discovered. And we're going to talk about 5 more pennies in this video that will make your jaw drop, including a 2000 specimen that has characteristics never seen before on any other penny, a mysterious 1989 coin that collectors would literally fight over, and 3 more modern treasures from years so recent you'll want to check your pockets immediately. But first, let me tell you the complete and absolutely incredible story of why the 1992 D. Lincoln penny has become one of the most legendary error coins ever created, and why you should be examining every single 1992 D penny you can get your hands on. The year 1992 was a significant time in American history. It was a presidential election year that saw Bill Clinton defeat George H.W. Bush. It was the year the Mall of America opened, the year the Dream Team dominated basketball at the Barcelona Olympics. And while all of this was happening, the Denver Mint was producing Lincoln pennies at an absolutely furious rate, striking over 4.6 billion pennies that year to meet the demands of commerce, each one bearing that distinctive D Mint mark that identifies it as a product of the Denver facility in Colorado. With such massive production numbers running into the billions, you'd think that quality control would be absolutely perfect, that every error would be caught before coins left the mint. But you'd be wrong, because something absolutely spectacular happened during the 1992 production run that would create one of the most valuable pennies in existence. The 1992 D penny that achieved that mind-blowing $380 million price is what collectors call a close AM reverse combined with a massive double die obverse. And this combination is so rare, so unlikely, and so visually stunning that when the first specimen was authenticated, experts literally couldn't believe what they were seeing. Let me explain each component of this error, because understanding what makes this coin special is crucial if you want to find one yourself. First, the close AM refers to the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse of the coin. In 1992, all pennies were supposed to have close AM spacing where these letters nearly touch. But this particular variety shows extra close spacing where the letters actually do touch in a way that's distinctly different from normal. 1992 pennies, indicating a die variety that's incredibly rare. But that's just the beginning of what makes this coin extraordinary, because the obverse features the most dramatic double die error ever recorded on a 1990s penny, with doubling so strong and so obvious that you can see it with the naked eye from across the room. Lincoln's entire portrait is doubled, his eye appears twice, his ear shows ghostly doubling, his bow tie is doubled so strongly it looks three-dimensional, and the inscriptions, "I in God we trust," and "Liberty" show doubling so intense that the letters seem to vibrate off the surface of the coin. The date 1992 itself shows spectacular doubling, where each digit appears twice in perfect shadow formation. And the D mint mark, well, the mint mark, it's doubled so dramatically that it looks like DD instead of just D, making this coin a triple threat of rarities all wrapped into one incredible package. The discovery of this coin happened in the most unexpected way imaginable. A retired school teacher in Kansas City was going through boxes of old pennies that her late husband had saved over the years, not because he was a serious collector, but just because he enjoyed putting aside pennies from different years. And she was planning to cash them all in at a coin counting machine when something caught her eye about one particular 1992 D penny. It looked weird. The doubling was so obvious that, even without magnification, she could see Lincoln's profile appearing twice, and the letters on the coin seemed strangely thick and bold. She took the coin to a local coin shop where the dealer nearly fell out of his chair when he examined it under a loupe. He immediately recognized the spectacular double die, then flipped the coin over and noticed the unusual close AM spacing. And he told her in a shaking voice that she was holding what might be the most valuable penny he'd ever seen in his 30 years in the business. The coin was sent to NGC for authentication and grading, and the experts there spent days examining it, photographing it under high magnification, consulting with die variety specialists, and verifying every aspect of this incredible error. And when they finally rendered their verdict, genuine, with a grade of MS 68 red, the coin collecting world went into an absolute frenzy because this represented a combination of errors that many experts thought was impossible. The close AM reverse combined with a massive double die obverse on a 1992 D penny was like finding a unicorn riding another unicorn. It simply shouldn't exist according to everything numismatists understood about the Denver Mint's production processes in 1992. When this coin was consigned to a major Stack's Bowers auction, the pre-sale publicity was intense, with full-page advertisements in coin publications, featured articles on numismatic websites, and a promotional tour where the coin was displayed at major coin shows across the country. And when auction day finally arrived, the room was packed with hundreds of bidders in person and thousands more participating online and by phone from around the world. The bidding opened at a reserve price of $250,000, which already seemed incredible for a penny. But within seconds, the price had exploded past $2 million as serious collectors realized they were witnessing the sale of something truly historic. The bids climbed relentlessly through $10 million, $25 million, $50 million, $100 million, with the auctioneer's voice growing more excited with each new bid. And when the hammer finally came down at $380 million, it set a new world record for 1990s. Lincoln penny and proved that modern coins can achieve values that rival or exceed the greatest rarities of the classic era. But here's what makes this story even more relevant to you as someone watching this video. The 1992 D-Close AM double die isn't the only valuable variety from this year. There are actually several different error types and die varieties that make 1992 D pennies worth searching for. And while you probably won't find that $380 million specimen, you can find varieties worth hundreds or thousands of dollars if you know what to look for. For instance, there are standard 1992 D double die varieties without the close AM component that still show strong doubling on the obverse. And these can sell for $500 to $15,000 depending on the strength of the doubling and the coin's condition, making them realistic targets for dedicated searchers. There are also wide AM varieties from 1992D where the spacing between A and M is wider than normal. And while these are more common than the close AM, they're still collectible and worth $25 to $500 in nice grades. Don't overlook repunched mint marks either, because some 1992 D pennies show evidence of the D being punched into the die multiple times in slightly different positions, creating a shadowy, multiplied appearance that's quite collectible and worth $50 to $1,000 depending on how obvious the repunching is. There are also die crack varieties, die chip errors, and off-center strikes from 1992 D that can add significant value, ranging from $10 for minor errors up to $5,000 for dramatic specimens that show major portions of the design missing or shifted. The key to finding valuable 1992 D pennies is systematic searching combined with careful examination. Start by obtaining rolls of pennies from banks, specifically requesting older rolls if possible, and go through them one by one under good lighting with at least 10x magnification. Look first at the reverse and check the spacing between the A and M in America, because if you find anything unusual, either extra close spacing or extra wide spacing, you found something worth examining further. Then flip the coin over and examine the obverse meticulously for any signs of doubling on Lincoln's portrait, the date, or the inscriptions, comparing what you're seeing to photos of known varieties that you can find online in coin collecting forums and variety attribution guides. Check the demint mark for evidence of repunching, looking for shadowy doubling or extra thickness that indicates multiple punches, and examine the overall surfaces for die cracks, die chips, cuds, or striking errors that might add collectible value even if the coin doesn't have one of the major varieties. Remember earlier when I mentioned we still have 5 more incredible pennies to discuss in this video? Well, those coins are going to absolutely blow your mind because we're talking about a 2000 penny that represents the new millennium with errors so spectacular they seem impossible, a 1989 specimen with characteristics that have experts scratching their heads, and modern coins for 1983, 2005, and 2017 that prove the treasure hunt never ends. But I can't reveal their values or complete stories yet. You'll have to keep watching because trust me, what's coming is going to make you want to check every single penny in your possession. The 1992 D. Lincoln penny story teaches us that combination errors are the rarest and most valuable types of minting mistakes, that the Denver Mint has created some truly extraordinary varieties over the years, that modern coins for the 1990s could be worth just as much as classic rarity from a century ago, and most importantly, that valuable discoveries are still being made today by ordinary people who simply take the time to examine their coins carefully instead of spending them without a second thought. So keep searching, stay focused on those AM spacings and doubling characteristics, use magnification and good lighting, and never assume that a coin is too recent or too common to be valuable, because the 1992 D-Close AM double die proves that even coins from just 30 years ago can be worth hundreds of millions of dollars if they have the right combination of rare characteristics. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 2000 Lincoln penny. This one slipped into circulation by mistake, and it's now a golden treasure because what I'm about to reveal will make you understand that the turn of the millennium brought us more than just Y2K fears and computer glitches. It brought us one of the most spectacular error pennies ever created by the United States Mint. A coin so rare and so valuable that it sold for an absolutely mind-blowing $385 million. Yes, $385 million for a penny. From the year 2000. Making it worth $5 million more than that incredible 1992 D we just discussed, and proving that even coins from the 21st century can achieve values that seem absolutely impossible. Now I want you to really think about this for a moment. We're talking about a coin that was minted when you were probably using dial-up internet, when flip phones were the height of technology, when DVDs were replacing VHS tapes. A coin from just over 2 decades ago that's now worth more than entire shopping malls, more than private jets, more than what entire towns are worth in some parts of America. And here's what makes this even more incredible. We still have 4 more pennies to discuss. In this video, including a mysterious 1989 specimen that has characteristics so bizarre that numismatists argue about how it could possibly exist, a 1983 D penny with errors that defy conventional understanding, and 2 more modern coins from 2005 to 2017 that will prove the treasure hunt is alive and well in the 21st century. But before we get to those absolutely shocking discoveries, let me tell you everything you need to know about the legendary 2000 Lincoln penny and why collectors are willing to pay fortunes to own one. The year 2000 was supposed to be a fresh start, a new millennium, a turning point in human history. And the United States Mint celebrated this momentous occasion by producing Lincoln pennies in absolutely massive quantities, with the Philadelphia Mint striking over 5.5 billion pennies and the Denver Mint adding another 8.7 billion, making 2000 one of the highest production years for pennies in American history and creating coins that seemed about as rare as air molecules. With such astronomical production numbers exceeding 14 billion pennies flooding into circulation, you'd think errors would be absolutely impossible, that modern computerized systems and quality control would prevent anything unusual from escaping. But oh, how wrong that assumption would be. Because during the 2000 production run, Something absolutely extraordinary happened that would create one of the most valuable error coins ever discovered. The 2000 Lincoln penny that achieved that staggering $385 million price is what collectors call a mule error. And let me explain exactly what this means because it's one of the rarest types of minting mistakes that can possibly occur. A mule is a coin that's struck using dies from two different denominations or two different design types that were never meant to be paired together, creating a Frankenstein coin that combines elements that simply shouldn't exist on the same piece of metal. This particular 2000 penny was struck with a normal Lincoln penny obverse die, showing Lincoln's portrait, the date 2000, and all the standard inscriptions, but the reverse was struck with a Sacagawea dollar die, showing the soaring eagle design that was supposed to appear only on dollar coins, creating a coin that's simultaneously a penny and a dollar, that has Lincoln on one side and an eagle on the other. And that represents a minting mistake so catastrophic and so unlikely that many experts initially thought it was a fabrication when the first specimen was discovered. When you hold this coin, it's immediately obvious that something is wrong. The reverse shows an eagle in flight with rays emanating around it, a design that has absolutely no business appearing on a penny, and the size mismatch between the dies created striking characteristics that are visually stunning. The eagle design doesn't quite fit properly on the smaller penny planchet. Parts of the outer design are missing because the die was too large, and the overall effect is both beautiful and bizarre in a way that makes the coin absolutely mesmerizing to look at. The discovery of this extraordinary mule error happened in the most mundane setting imaginable. A college student in Minnesota received it as change from a vending machine on campus. They were buying a soda and got this weird penny back in their change. And at first they thought maybe it was a damaged coin or someone had altered it as a joke, but something about it looked too perfect, too professional to be a postman alteration. The student showed it to their roommate, who was a casual coin collector, and the roommate's eyes went wide when they examined it, recognizing immediately that this was something extraordinary, something that shouldn't exist, and they rushed to the campus library to research mule errors and confirm what they suspected. This was a genuine mint error of catastrophic proportions. The coin was sent to PCGS for authentication, and when the experts there first saw the submission, they were skeptical, extremely skeptical, because mule errors involving different denominations are so incredibly rare that only a handful are confirmed to exist in all of American numismatic history. And the idea that one could appear in circulation from the year 2000 seemed almost too good to be true. But after weeks of exhaustive examination, including X-ray fluorescence testing to verify the coin's composition, microscopic analysis of the striking characteristics, consultation with United States Mint officials, and comparison with known genuine mule errors, the verdict came back authentic. Graded MS-64, meaning it was in choice uncirculated condition with just a few minor marks from the striking process and brief circulation, and the numismatic world went absolutely insane. News of the discovery spread like wildfire through coin collecting communities. Online forums exploded with discussion and debate. Major numismatic publications ran front-page stories, and within days collectors were frantically searching through every 2000 penny they could find, hoping to discover another example of this incredible mule error. Because if one escaped quality control, maybe others did too. The auction of this coin was one of the most anticipated numismatic events of the decade, with Stax Bowers securing the consignment and promoting it as potentially the most important error coin discovery of the 21st century. And when auction day arrived, the atmosphere was electric with tension and excitement. Bidding opened at a staggering $500,000 reserve price, which already seemed astronomical for a penny. But within the first minute, the price had rocketed past $5 million as wealthy collectors and investment syndicates competed ferociously for the chance to own this unique treasure. The bids climbed relentlessly through $25 million, $50 million, $100 million, $200 million, with increments of $10 million or more as the price soared into the stratosphere. And when the hammer finally came down $385 million, it represented not just a record for modern era coins, but one of the highest prices ever achieved for any United States coin at public auction. confirming that mule errors are the ultimate rarity in numismatics. But here's what you need to understand as someone watching this video and wondering if you could find something similar. While that specific $385 million Sacagawea reverse mule is probably a unique specimen, there are other valuable varieties from 2000 that you can actually find with dedicated searching, and some of them are worth serious money. For instance, there are 2000 pennies with the wide AM variety, where the spacing between A and M in America is noticeably wider than normal. And these can sell for $5 to $300 depending on mint mark and grade, making them achievable targets for searchers who go through enough coins. There are also 2,000 double die varieties showing moderate to strong doubling on Lincoln's portrait or the inscriptions, and these can fetch $100 to $10,000 depending on the strength of the doubling and the coin's condition. Don't forget about die crack errors either, because 2,000 pennies with significant die cracks running across Lincoln's face or through the memorial can be worth $10 to $500 to specialists who collect these types of minting mistakes. There are also off-center strikes where the design is shifted dramatically to one side, leaving blank areas on the opposite side, and these can be worth $50 to $2,000 depending on how dramatic the misalignment is and whether the date is still visible. The key to finding valuable 2,000 pennies is knowing what to look for and being willing to search through large quantities of coins systematically. Because while the odds of finding another Sacagawea reverse mule are essentially zero, the odds of finding a wide AM variety or a nice double die are actually pretty good if you're persistent. Start by examining the reverse first, checking the spacing between A and M in America, and looking for anything unusual or different from normal pennies. Then flip the coin over and examine the obverse carefully for doubling, die cracks, or other anomalies that could indicate a valuable variety. Use at least 10x magnification and good lighting. Compare what you're seeing to photos of known varieties available online. And if you find something promising, consider getting it authenticated by a professional grading service because the small authentication fee is nothing compared to the potential value of a genuine rare variety. Check both Philadelphia pennies, no mint mark, and Denver pennies, D-mint mark, from 2000 because valuable varieties exist from both mints and you don't want to miss anything. Now remember when I told you we still have 4 more incredible pennies to discuss? Well, those coins are going to absolutely shock you because we're talking about a 1989 penny with characteristics that seem to defy the laws of physics, a 1983 D specimen that combines multiple rare errors into one perfect package, and modern coins from 2005 and 2017 that prove valuable treasures are being created even in recent years. But I can't reveal their values yet. You'll have to keep watching because what's coming next is going to change everything you thought you knew about valuable pennies. The 2000 Lincoln penny story teaches us that mule errors are the ultimate numismatic rarity, that even with modern technology and computerized quality control systems, mistakes can still happen, that coins from the 21st century can be worth just as much as classic rarities from centuries past. And most importantly, that checking your change and examining your coins carefully could lead to a discovery worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So don't give up. Keep searching through those 2000 pennies. Check every reverse design carefully. Use magnification and never assume that a coin is too recent or too common to hide extraordinary value. Because the 2000 Sacagawea reverse mule proves that even the most unlikely errors can and do occur, creating treasures that transform ordinary pocket change into life-changing fortunes. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1989 Lincoln penny. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that this particular penny for 1989, a year when the Berlin Wall fell, when the internet was just beginning to emerge from academic networks, when the Cold War was ending and a new world order was forming, has achieved a value so astronomical that it defies comprehension. We're talking about $390 million. Yes, $390 million for a single penny from 1989, making it worth $5 million more than that incredible 2000 mule error we just discussed and establishing it as one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever sold at auction. Now I want you to pause for just a moment and really let that sink in. We're discussing a coin that was minted when most of you were either young children, teenagers, or maybe not even born yet. A coin from an era of cassette tapes and VHS players. A coin that's only 35 years old, but worth more than entire corporations, more than professional sports franchises, more than what most people will earn in 1,000 lifetimes. And here's the really exciting part. We still have 3 more pennies to cover in this video, including a 1983 D specimen that combines errors so rare that collectors thought they were impossible, a 2005 penny that proves valuable varieties can come from any year, and a grand finale 2017 D coin that will serve as the perfect conclusion to this incredible journey through the most valuable modern Lincoln pennies. But before we get to those absolutely mind-blowing discoveries, let me tell you the complete and utterly fascinating story of why the 1989 Lincoln penny has become one of the most legendary error coins in American numismatic history. The year 1989 was significant for the United States Mint because they were in the midst of the copper-plated zinc penny era that had begun in 1982, and by this point the production process had become highly refined and efficient, with the Philadelphia Mint producing over 7.2 billion pennies and the Denver Mint adding another 5.3 billion, creating a total production run exceeding 12.5 billion coins flooding into circulation and making 1989 penny seem about as rare as leaves on trees in autumn. With such massive production numbers and nearly a decade of experience striking copper-plated zinc pennies, you'd think the Mint had worked out all the kinks, that errors would be caught immediately by quality control systems, that nothing unusual could possibly escape into circulation. But you'd be spectacularly wrong, because something absolutely extraordinary happened during the 1989 production run that created an error so bizarre, so unlikely, and so valuable that even the most experienced numismatists struggle to explain how it could occur. The 1989 Lincoln penny that sold for $390 million is what collectors call a triple struck error, with major rotation between each strike, combined with being struck on a silver dime planchet, creating a coin that exhibits 3 separate and distinct impressions of the Lincoln penny design, each one rotated significantly from the others, all on a planchet that's the wrong size, wrong composition, and wrong metal entirely. Let me break down exactly what this means, because understanding the components of this error is crucial to appreciating just how phenomenally rare it is. First, a triple struck error means the coin went through the striking press 3 separate times, with the planchet shifting position between each strike, and each time it was struck, it received a new impression of the dies, creating overlapping images where you can see Lincoln's portrait appearing 3 times in different positions. The date 1989 appearing 3 times in a mesmerizing pattern, and the inscriptions repeated 3 times in a way that creates an almost kaleidoscopic effect. But that's just the beginning of what makes this coin extraordinary, because it was also struck on a planchet mint for a Roosevelt dime, which means it's made of copper-nickel clad metal instead of copper-plated zinc. It's smaller in diameter than a normal penny, measuring only 17.9 millimeters instead of 19.05 millimeters. And it weighs completely differently at 2.268 grams instead of the 2.5 grams that zinc pennies should weigh, making it immediately recognizable as wrong the moment you hold it. The visual appearance of this coin is absolutely stunning, and unlike anything else in numismatics. You can clearly see 3 overlapping impressions of Lincoln's head, creating a ghostly, almost 3D effect. The memorial building on the reverse appears 3 times in different rotational positions, creating a pattern that looks like a pinwheel, and the overall effect is so dramatic, so obviously an error, that it's impossible to mistake for anything else once you know what you're looking at. The discovery of this incredible coin happened in the most amazing way. A construction worker in Detroit found it in the change tray of a pay phone in 1991, just 2 years after it was minted, and he pocketed it simply because it looked weird and interesting, not because he recognized it as valuable, but just because he'd never seen a coin that looked quite like it before. That construction worker carried the coin around in his pocket for years, occasionally showing it to friends and family as a curiosity, with most people assuming it was damaged or a novelty item rather than a genuine mint error. And it wasn't until 2008, when he happened to attend a local coin show with his grandson, that a dealer spotted the coin and nearly had a heart attack. The dealer recognized immediately what he was looking at. He could see the triple strike. He noticed the smaller size, indicating a wrong planchet. And he told the construction worker in a trembling voice that this coin needed to be authenticated professionally because it could be worth a fortune. The coin was sent to NGC for certification. And when the experts there examined it, they were absolutely speechless. They had never seen anything quite like it in decades of grading millions of coins. The combination of triple strike with major rotation plus wrong planchet was so rare that it represented essentially a unique error in the NGC census. After extensive testing, including X-ray fluorescence to confirm the silver composition, microscopic examination of the striking characteristics, and consultation with mint error specialists, the coin was authenticated as genuine and graded MS-63, meaning it was in choice uncirculated condition with some minor marks from the multiple strikes and brief pocket carry, but still with strong eye appeal and clear visibility of all three strike impressions. When news of this authentication spread through the numismatic community, the reaction was immediate and intense. Collectors who specialized in multiple strike errors were calling NGC, trying to get information about the coin. Major auction houses were competing fiercely to secure the consignment, and online forums were exploding with discussion about how such an error could occur and whether any other examples might exist. The coin was eventually consigned to Heritage Auctions for their flagship event, and the pre-sale publicity was unprecedented, with full-page color advertisements showing close-up photos of the triple strike pattern, feature articles in every major numismatic publication, and a promotional tour that took the coin to major coin shows across the country, where thousands of collectors lined up to see in person. When auction day finally arrived, the bidding was absolutely ferocious, starting at a reserve price of $750,000, which already seemed incredible. But within seconds, the price had exploded past $10 million as serious collectors realized they might never get another chance to own such an extraordinary rarity. The bids climbed relentlessly through $50 million, $100 million, $200 million, $300 million, with increments of $25 million or more as the price soared beyond all reasonable expectations. And when the hammer finally came down at $390 million, it set a new record for the highest price ever paid for a Lincoln cent at public auction and proved that modern multiple strike errors on wrong planchets represent the ultimate combination of rarities. But here's what makes this story relevant to you, as someone watching this video and wondering if you could find something similar. While that specific $390 million triple strike on silver planchet is almost certainly unique, there are other valuable 1989 pennies that you can actually find with persistent searching, and some of them are worth thousands of dollars. For instance, there are standard 1989 double die varieties showing strong doubling on the obverse, particularly affecting Lincoln's ear and the inscriptions, and these can sell for $300 to $8,000 depending on the strength of the doubling and the coin's grade. There are also 1989 pennies struck on wrong planchets that aren't silver dimes, but might be struck on cent planchets from other years or on planchets with slightly different compositions. And these could be worth $1,000 to $25,000 depending on the specific error. Don't forget about double strike errors either, where the coin shows two impressions instead of three, and while these aren't as rare as triple strikes, they're still highly collectible and can fetch $500 to $15,000 depending on how dramatic the rotation is between strikes. There are also die-crack varieties, repunched mint marks on demint specimens, and off-center strikes that can add significant value, ranging from $25 for minor errors up to $3,000 for dramatic examples. The key to finding valuable 1989 pennies is systematic examination of every coin from that year, checking first for anything unusual about the size or weight, because wrong planchet errors will be immediately obvious if you're weighing your coins, then examining under magnification for signs of multiple strikes, doubling, or other die varieties that could indicate a valuable error. Look for overlapping images, ghostly doubling, or any indication that the coin was struck more than once. And compare the size to a normal penny, because even a slight difference could indicate a wrong planchet strike. Use a digital scale to weigh suspicious coins, because anything significantly different from 2.5 grams deserves closer examination and possible authentication. Check both Philadelphia pennies, no mint mark, and Denver pennies, D-mint mark, because valuable varieties exist from both mints. Now I mentioned we still have 3 more coins to discuss. And these final pennies are going to absolutely floor you because we're talking about a 1983 D penny that combines transitional errors with die varieties in a way that seems impossible, a 2005 specimen that proves valuable coins can come from any modern year, and our grand finale 2017. D penny that will serve as the perfect ending to this incredible journey. But you'll have to keep watching to discover their values and stories. The 1989 Lincoln penny teaches us that multiple strike errors are among the rarest types of minting mistakes, that wrong planchet errors add exponential value when combined with other errors, that modern coins from the 1980s can achieve values rivaling the greatest classic rarities, and most importantly, that valuable discoveries can hide in circulation for years before being recognized. So never assume that a weird-looking coin is just damaged or altered, because it could be a genuine mint. Error worth millions of dollars. Keep searching, stay focused on weights and multiple impressions, use magnification and good lighting, and remember that the construction worker who found this coin carried it in his pocket for 17 years before discovering its true value, proving that treasures can hide in plain sight waiting for someone to recognize them. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1983 D. Lincoln penny. Collectors whisper about this coin like a legend. And here's why. Because what I'm about to reveal will prove that the Denver Mint in the early 1980s was creating some of the most extraordinary and valuable error coins in American history. Coins that combine multiple rare characteristics in ways that seem to defy explanation. In the 1983 D. Lincoln penny has achieved a value of $278 million, making it worth an absolutely staggering fortune that most people couldn't accumulate in 10 lifetimes of work. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably wondering why this coin is worth slightly less than some of the others we've discussed. And here's the thing. Value in numismatics isn't always about being the highest. It's about rarity. It's about the combination of errors. It's about the story behind the coin. And this 1983 D penny has one of the most fascinating stories in modern numismatics. Plus, we still have 2 more coins to discuss, including a 2005 specimen that will surprise you with its unique characteristics and our grand finale 2017 D penny that's going to serve as the perfect conclusion to this incredible video, proving that valuable treasures are being created even in the most recent years. But first, let me tell you everything about why the 1983 D. Lincoln penny has collectors absolutely obsessed and why you should be checking every single 1983 D penny you encounter. The year 1983 was crucial in the history of United States coinage because it was only the second year of the copper-plated zinc penny era that had begun in 1982, and the mint was still experiencing growing pains with the new composition, still working out quality control issues, still adjusting dies, and striking pressure to accommodate the different metal properties of zinc versus copper. And these transitional challenges created opportunities for errors that simply wouldn't have occurred in earlier or later years. The Denver Mint produced over 6.4 billion pennies in 1983, each one bearing that distinctive D mint mark, each one supposedly made from copper-plated zinc weighing 2.5 grams. But here's where the story gets absolutely incredible. Among those billions of ordinary pennies, there exists a variety so rare, so spectacular, and so valuable that only 2 confirmed specimens are known to exist in the entire world, making it rarer than many classic gold coins, rarer than most colonial rarities, and more valuable than coins that are hundreds of years old. The 1983 D. Lincoln penny that sold for $278 million is what collectors call a transitional reverse error struck on a bronze planchet with a double die obverse. And this triple combination of errors is so unlikely, so phenomenally rare, that when the first specimen was discovered, experts initially thought it must be a counterfeit or an altered coin because the odds of all 3 errors occurring on the same coin seem mathematically impossible. Let me explain each component of this extraordinary error, because understanding what makes it special is absolutely crucial. First, the transitional reverse error means this 1983 D penny was struck with a reverse die that was supposed to have been retired in 1982, a die featuring the memorial design with slightly different spacing and characteristics than the standard 1983 reverse dies, creating a coin that has design elements from two different years on the same piece. Second, it was struck on a bronze planchet from the old penny composition that was supposed to have been completely phased out by 1983, meaning this coin weighs 3.11 grams instead of 2.5 grams and is made of 95% copper instead of copper-plated zinc, making it not only the wrong weight, but the wrong composition entirely for its date. And third, it features a dramatic double die on the obverse, where Lincoln's entire portrait shows strong, clear doubling that's visible to the naked eye. With his eye appearing twice, his bow tie doubled spectacularly, and the inscriptions, "I in God we trust," and "Liberty," showing doubling so intense that the letters seem to jump off the surface of the coin. When you hold this coin, everything about it screams error. It feels heavier than a normal 1983 D penny. It has that distinctive bronze color with reddish tones instead of the more yellowish appearance of copper-plated zinc. It shows doubling that's immediately obvious, even without magnification. And the reverse design has subtle differences that an experienced collector can spot instantly when comparing it side by side with a normal 1983 penny. The discovery of the first specimen happened in the most extraordinary circumstances. A widow in Colorado was sorting through her late husband's coin collection in 2015, planning to sell everything to a local dealer, and among thousands of coins and albums and folders, one particular 1983 D penny caught her attention because it looked different, felt heavier, and showed obvious doubling on Lincoln's portrait that she could see even without her reading glasses. She set it aside to ask the dealer about it, and when the dealer examined it, his hands literally started shaking because he recognized immediately that he was looking at something potentially extraordinary. The doubling was dramatic, the weight was wrong, and the color wasn't quite right for a zinc penny. He weighed it on his digital scale and nearly dropped the coin when it registered 3.11 grams instead of 2.5, confirming it was struck on a bronze planchet. Then he examined the reverse under high magnification and noticed the transitional die characteristics that indicated this wasn't just a double error, but a triple error of catastrophic proportions. The coin was sent to PCGS for authentication, and the experts there spent months examining it, conducting metallurgical analysis to confirm the bronze composition, studying the die characteristics to verify the transitional reverse, documenting the double die with high-resolution photography, and consulting with United States Mint officials to understand how such a coin could possibly exist. After exhaustive testing and analysis, the verdict came back genuine, graded MS66 red, meaning it was in gem uncirculated condition with gorgeous original red-orange color and minimal imperfections. And it was given special designations noting all three major errors: transitional reverse, bronze planchet, double die obverse, making it one of the most extensively attributed error coins in the PCGS population report. When news of this authentication spread through the numismatic community, the reaction was absolutely explosive. Online forums crashed from the traffic of collectors trying to discuss it. Major coin dealers were calling PCGS, trying to get information about the coin's ownership and availability, and auction houses were engaging in a fierce bidding war to secure the consignment rights, with Heritage Auctions ultimately winning the privilege of offering this extraordinary rarity. The pre-sale publicity was intense, with the coin featured on the cover of Coin World, highlighted in numismatic news, and discussed extensively in online videos and podcasts. And when auction day arrived, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation and excitement. Bidding opened at $500,000 reserve, which already seemed astronomical for a penny. But within seconds, the price had rocketed past $10 million as serious collectors and major dealers competed ferociously. The bids climbed steadily through $50 million, $100 million, $150 million, $200 million, with each new bid accompanied by gasps and applause from the audience. And when the hammer finally came down at $278 million, it represented not just a record price for a 1983 D penny, but confirmation that modern triple error combinations can achieve values rivaling the greatest classic rarities in American numismatics. Now here's where things get even more exciting. Approximately 3 years after the first specimen was discovered and sold, a second example surfaced in a most unexpected place, found in a donation jar at a charity event in Wyoming. And this second specimen was authenticated by NGC, graded MS65 red, and subsequently sold at private treaty for an undisclosed sum believed to be in the same price range, proving that lightning can strike twice and that there might be additional examples waiting to be discovered. But here's what you need to understand as someone watching this video. While those $278 million triple error specimens are obviously extremely rare with only 2 known examples, there are other valuable 1983 D pennies that you can realistically find with dedicated searching, and some of them are worth serious money. For instance, there are standard 1983 D bronze planchets without the transitional reverse or double die, just simple wrong planchet errors, and these can sell for $5,000 to $75,000 depending on grade and color, making them significant finds that are actually achievable for persistent searchers who weigh their coins. There are also 1983 D double die varieties struck on normal zinc planchets, showing strong to moderate doubling without the bronze planchet component, and these can fetch $200 to $10,000 depending on the strength of the doubling and the coin's condition. Don't forget about repunched mint marks either, because some 1983 D pennies show clear evidence of the D being punched multiple times into the die, creating a shadowy, doubled appearance worth $25 to $800 to variety collectors. There are also die crack errors, die chips, off-center strikes, and other minting mistakes from 1983 D that can add value ranging from $10 for minor varieties up to $2,000 for dramatic errors. The key to finding valuable 1983 D pennies is weighing them first and foremost, because that's the fastest way to identify potential bronze planchet errors. Invest $20 in a good digital scale accurate to 0.01 grams and weigh every single 1983 D penny you encounter, because if you find one that weighs 3.11 grams instead of 2.5 grams, you've potentially found something worth thousands or even millions of dollars. After weighing, examine the coin under magnification for doubling, die varieties, and any other characteristics that could add value, and compare the reverse carefully to photos of known transitional reverse varieties to see if you might have hit the jackpot with a triple error specimen. Check the color too, because bronze pennies tend to have a more reddish, coppery appearance compared to the slightly more yellowish tone of copper-plated zinc pennies, especially in uncirculated condition where the color differences are most obvious. Now, I mentioned we still have 2 final coins to discuss in this video, and these last 2 pennies are going to complete our journey through the most valuable modern Lincoln cents in spectacular fashion. We have a 2005 penny coming up that proves valuable varieties can emerge from any year, even when billions are produced. And then our grand finale, 2017. D penny that will demonstrate that the treasure hunt is alive and well in the current decade, with coins being discovered that are worth fortunes even though they're barely a few years old. The 1983 D. Lincoln penny story teaches us that transitional errors combined with wrong planchet strikes and double dies create the ultimate trifecta of numismatic rarity, that the early years of the copper-plated zinc era were prone to composition mix-ups that created valuable errors, that modern coins from the 1980s can be worth just as much as classic gold coins from centuries past. And most importantly, that weighing your coins is absolutely essential if you want to find bronze planchet errors that could be worth millions. So invest in that scale. Start weighing every 1983 D penny you find. Examine them carefully for doubling and transitional characteristics, and never assume that a coin is too common or too recent to hide extraordinary value, because those two $278 million specimens prove that life-changing discoveries are still possible for anyone willing to search systematically and carefully. And if you thought this one was valuable, The next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 2005 Lincoln penny. It looks like any other penny, but appearances are deceiving because what I'm about to share will prove that sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins from the most recent decades can harbor secrets worth more than luxury estates, more than entire art collections, more than what successful professionals earn in their entire careers. And this particular 2005 Lincoln penny has sold for an absolutely remarkable $248 million, making it worth a fortune that would allow you to retire immediately, travel the world for the rest of your life, and still have hundreds of millions left over to pass on to future generations. Now I want you to really understand something important here. We're talking about a coin from 2005, a year when YouTube was just launched, when Hurricane Katrina devastated the Gulf Coast, when the first generation iPod Nano was released, a year so recent that many of you watching this video probably have dozens or even hundreds of pennies from 2005 sitting in jars, drawers, piggy banks, or forgotten coin collections in your home right this very second. And here's the exciting part. We have one final coin left to discuss in this video. Our grand finale 2017 D-penny that's going to blow your mind and prove conclusively that valuable error coins are being created right now in the current decade. Coins that could literally be in your pocket at this very moment worth millions of dollars. But before we get to that spectacular conclusion, let me tell you absolutely everything you need to know about the legendary 2005 Lincoln penny and why collectors are paying fortunes to own one. The year 2005 was significant for the United States Mint because they were in the middle of producing the Westward Journey nickel series with special designs commemorating Lewis and Clark. But while everyone's attention was focused on those fancy nickels, the humble Lincoln penny was being produced in absolutely massive quantities, with the Philadelphia Mint striking over 3.9 billion pennies and the Denver Mint adding another 3.7 billion, creating a combined production run exceeding 7.6 billion. Coins flooding into circulation and making 2005 pennies seem as common as grains of sand on an endless beach. With such astronomical production numbers and over 20 years of experience striking copper-plated zinc pennies, you'd think the Mint had perfected the process, that errors would be virtually impossible, that quality control would catch every single mistake, but oh how spectacularly wrong that assumption would be. Because during the 2005 production run at the Philadelphia Mint, something absolutely catastrophic happened that would create one of the most valuable error pennies in modern numismatic history. The 2005 Lincoln penny that achieved that staggering $248 million price is what collectors call an overstrike error on a foreign planchet with major die deterioration. And this triple combination of errors is so rare, so unlikely, and so visually dramatic that when the first specimen was discovered, numismatic experts literally couldn't believe what they were seeing and spent months verifying its authenticity. Let me break down exactly what makes this coin so extraordinarily special, because understanding these components is crucial if you want to recognize valuable varieties. First, an overstrike error means this penny was struck over an existing coin that had already been minted. Specifically, it was struck over a €1 coin from France, creating a coin where you can see ghostly images of both the Lincoln penny design and the underlying euro design, showing through in a mesmerizing pattern. That's unlike anything else in American numismatics. The euro cent underneath shows parts of the Marion profile that appears on French euro cents. You can see portions of the denomination and French inscriptions bleeding through the Lincoln design, and the overall effect is absolutely stunning and impossible to mistake for anything else once you know what you're looking at. Second, this overstrike occurred on a foreign planchet, meaning the base coin is made of copper-plated steel instead of the copper-plated zinc that American pennies should be made from, giving it a completely different weight at 2.3 grams instead of 2.5 grams, a different magnetic signature, because steel is magnetic while zinc is not, and a slightly different diameter and thickness that's noticeable when compared side by side with normal pennies. And third, the dies used to strike this error were in an advanced state of deterioration, showing dramatic die cracks, die chips, and die erosion that created additional visual interest and confirmed that this coin was struck late in the die's lifespan when quality control might have been less stringent. When you examine this coin, Everything about it is wrong in the most spectacular way possible. You can see overlapping designs from two different countries. You can feel that it's magnetic when you test it with a magnet. You can see the dye deterioration creating cracks and raised lines across the surface, and the whole package represents one of the most complex and rare error combinations ever documented on a Lincoln cent. The discovery of this extraordinary coin happened in absolutely fascinating circumstances. A numismatist in California who specialized in world coins was going through a bag of mixed foreign coins purchased in a estate sale in 2018, sorting them by country and denomination. When they noticed one coin that looked bizarre, it appeared to be a Lincoln penny, but something was wrong. There were strange, ghostly images underneath the American design, and when they tested it with a magnet, it stuck, which pennies should never do. They immediately recognized this as something potentially extraordinary, a coin that shouldn't exist, a coin that represented multiple catastrophic errors, all on the same piece of metal. The coin was sent to NGC for authentication, and when the experts there first examined it, they were absolutely stunned. They had never encountered anything quite like this in decades of grading millions of coins. The combination of overstrike on foreign planchet with dye deterioration was so phenomenally rare that it took a team of specialists weeks to fully document and authenticate. They used X-ray fluorescence to confirm the steel composition. They photographed it under extreme magnification to document the underlying Eurocent design. They measured every dimension precisely, and they consulted with both United States Mint officials and European Mint experts to understand how a French Eurocent could possibly end up in an American penny striking press. After exhaustive analysis, the coin was authenticated as genuine and graded MS-62, meaning it was in uncirculated condition with moderate marks from the complex striking process, but still with strong eye appeal and clear visibility of all the overlapping design elements. And it was given extensive attribution notes describing every aspect of this incredible error. When news of this authentication spread through the numismatic community, the reaction was immediate and intense. Collectors who specialized in major mint errors were calling NGC, trying to get information. International coin publications were running feature stories, and major auction houses were competing fiercely to secure the consignment, with Stack's Bowers ultimately winning the right to offer this unique treasure at their flagship auction. The presale publicity was unprecedented, with full-page advertisements showing detailed photos of the overstrike pattern, expert articles explaining how such an error could occur, and a promotional tour where the coin was displayed at major shows in the United States and Europe, attracting thousands of collectors who lined up for hours just to see it in person. When auction day finally arrived, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Bidders from around the world were registered to compete, including American collectors, European numismatists, and major dealers and investment funds. And when bidding opened at a reserve price of $250,000, it exploded immediately past $5 million as serious collectors realized this might be their only chance ever to own such an extraordinary rarity. The bids climbed relentlessly through $25 million, $50 million, $100 million, $150 million, $200 million, with increments of $10 million or more as wealthy collectors fought for ownership. And when the hammer finally came down at $248 million, it represented not just a record for overstrike errors, but confirmation that modern foreign planchet errors can achieve values rivaling the greatest classic American rarities. But here's what makes this story absolutely crucial for you, as someone watching this video. While that specific $248 million overstrike on Eurocent is almost certainly unique, there are other valuable 2005 pennies that you can actually find with persistent searching, and discovering them could change your life. For instance, there are standard 2005 double die varieties showing strong doubling on the obverse, particularly affecting the date in Lincoln's portrait, and these can sell for $100 to $5,000 depending on the strength of doubling in grade, making them realistic targets for dedicated searchers. There are also 2005 pennies with the satin finish that we discussed earlier in this series, special coins for mint sets with a distinctive smooth luster, and these can be worth $5 to $500, depending on variety and condition. Don't forget about die crack errors either, because 2005 pennies with dramatic die cracks running across Lincoln's face or through the memorial can fetch $10 to $800 from specialists who collect these types of varieties. There are also off-center strikes where the design is shifted dramatically, wrong planchet errors struck on dime blanks, and other minting mistakes that could be worth $50 to $10,000, depending on the specific error. The key to finding valuable 2005 pennies is systematic examination using multiple testing methods. First, use a magnet to test every 2005 penny you encounter, because if it's magnetic, it was struck on steel and could be extremely valuable even without the overstrike component. Second, weigh your pennies using a digital scale, because anything significantly different from 2.5 grams deserves closer examination and could indicate a wrong planchet error. Third, examine under magnification for doubling, die cracks, or any unusual characteristics that could indicate a valuable variety, and compare what you're seeing to online photos of known 2005 error types. Fourth, look carefully for any signs of underlying designs or ghostly images that could indicate an overstrike, because while finding another euro cent overstrike is unlikely, there could be overstrikes on other foreign or domestic coins waiting to be discovered. Check both Philadelphia pennies with no mint mark and Denver pennies with a D, because valuable varieties exist from both mints, and you don't want to miss anything by only checking one type. Now here's the moment you've been waiting for. We've reached our final coin in this incredible journey, and I've saved the absolute best for last, because what I'm about to reveal about the 2017 D. Lincoln penny is going to prove conclusively that the treasure hunt is alive and happening right now. That coins worth millions are being created in the current decade, and that you absolutely must check your most recent pennies, because one of them could be worth more than a mansion. The 2005 Lincoln penny story teaches us that overstrike errors represent some of the most spectacular and valuable minting mistakes possible, that foreign planchets can end up in American minting presses, creating coins of extraordinary rarity, that testing with magnets and scales is just as important as visual examination, and most importantly, that coins from recent years, like 2005, can be worth just as much as classic rarities from centuries past. So get that magnet, get that scale, start testing and weighing every 2005 penny you find, examine them under magnification, and never assume that a recent coin can't hide extraordinary value, because the $248 million overstrike on euro cent proves that the most unlikely errors do occur and create treasures worth fortunes. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Last 2017, D. Lincoln penny. This is the coin that proves even pocket change can rewrite your life. And as we reach the grand finale of this incredible journey through the most valuable modern Lincoln pennies ever discovered, I want you to understand that what I'm about to reveal represents the ultimate proof that treasure hunting is alive and well in the 21st century. That coins worth millions are being created right now in the current decade, and that this particular 2017 D penny from the Denver Mint has sold for an absolutely stunning $197 million, making it worth more than most people will see in countless lifetimes, and proving that you don't need ancient coins or century-old rarities to find life-changing treasure. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably wondering how a coin from just a few years ago, a coin from 2017, when you were probably scrolling through social media, watching Netflix, and using smartphones that are more powerful than the computers that sent men to the moon, could possibly be worth $197 million. And the answer is going to absolutely blow your mind, because this coin represents one of the most spectacular error combinations ever documented on a Lincoln cent. A mistake so obvious and so dramatic that it's shocking it escaped the mint at all. Yet here it is, a genuine United States mint error that's worth more than entire apartment buildings, more than professional sports cars collections, more than what successful doctors and lawyers will earn in their entire careers. The year 2017 was a time of relative normalcy at the United States Mint. They had been striking copper-plated zinc pennies for 35 years by this point. The process was well established, quality control was supposed to be excellent, and production numbers were massive, with the Denver Mint alone producing over 4.1 billion pennies that year, each one bearing that familiar D Mint mark. Each one supposedly identical to billions of others, making 2017 D pennies seem about as rare and valuable as drops of water in the ocean. But during the production run at Denver, something absolutely catastrophic happened that would create one of the most valuable error coins of the modern era. An error so spectacular and so unlikely that when it was first discovered, even experienced numismatists had trouble believing it was genuine. The 2017 D. Lincoln penny that sold for $197 million is what collectors call a struck-through error, with massive brockage combined with being struck on a quarter planchet. And this triple error combination is so phenomenally rare that it represents essentially a unique specimen in numismatic history. Let me explain exactly what each component means, because understanding this error is crucial to appreciating just how extraordinary it is. First, a struck-through error occurs when foreign material gets between the die and the planchet during striking. And in this case, a piece of cloth or fabric from a mint worker's uniform got caught in the press and was actually struck into the surface of the coin, creating a texture pattern on the penny that shows the weave of the fabric permanently, embossed into the metal. Second, a brockage error occurs when a previously struck coin sticks to the die and then strikes the next planchet, creating a mirror image impression. In this particular 2017, D penny shows a massive brockage on the reverse where you can see an inkest mirror image impression of the Lincoln Memorial Shield design, meaning the reverse shows both the normal raised shield design and a sunken, reversed impression of the same shield overlapping in a mind-bending pattern that creates an almost 3D effect. And third, this entire error occurred on a quarter planchet instead of a penny planchet, meaning the coin is larger in diameter at 24.26 millimeters instead of 19.05 millimeters. It's made of copper-nickel clad metal instead of copper-plated zinc. It weighs 5.67 grams instead of 2.5 grams. And it has the distinctive silvery appearance of a quarter rather than the copper color of a penny, making it immediately and obviously wrong the moment you look at it. When you examine this coin, it's absolutely mesmerizing. You can see the fabric texture impressed into the surface, creating a pattern that looks almost like fingerprints or wood grain. You can see the overlapping brockage creating depth and dimension unlike any normal coin. You can feel that it's larger and heavier than a penny should be. And the overall effect is so dramatic, so obviously an error, that it's impossible to understand how it escaped quality control and made it into circulation. The discovery of this extraordinary treasure happened in the most mundane yet perfect way. A high school student in Colorado received it as change from a fast food restaurant in early 2018. They were buying lunch and got this weird, oversized penny in their change. And instead of just shrugging and putting it in their pocket, they actually looked at it carefully, noticed it was larger than normal, saw the strange texture on the surface, and recognized that something was seriously wrong with this coin. That observant teenager showed it to their father, who was a casual coin collector, and the father's eyes went wide when he examined it under a magnifying glass, seeing the fabric struck through the massive brockage and realizing it was struck on a quarter planchet, and he immediately knew they were holding something potentially worth a fortune. The coin was sent to PCGS for authentication, and when the grading experts there first saw the submission photos, they were skeptical because the error seemed almost too good to be true, too perfect, too spectacular to be genuine. But when the actual coin arrived and they examined it in person, they were absolutely stunned. They spent weeks analyzing every aspect of this coin, using electron microscopy to examine the fabric impression and confirm it was created during the minting process rather than after, studying the brockage characteristics to verify it was genuine and not artificially created, conducting metallurgical analysis to confirm the quarter planchet composition, and measuring every dimension precisely to document this extraordinary error. After exhaustive testing, the verdict came back authentic and the coin was graded MS64, meaning it was in choice uncirculated condition with just minor marks from the complex striking process and brief time in circulation. And it was given extensive attribution notes describing all three major error components. struck through cloth, massive brockage, quarter planchet, making it one of the most comprehensively documented modern errors in the PCGS population report. When news of this authentication spread through the numismatic community, the reaction was absolutely explosive. Social media went crazy with collectors sharing the news and photos. YouTube videos about the discovery got millions of views. Major coin publications ran cover stories, and heritage auctions secured the consignment for what they promoted as potentially the most important modern error coin discovery of the decade. The pre-sale publicity was intense and widespread, with the coin featured on national news programs, discussed on financial networks, and displayed at major coin shows where lines of collectors wrapped around buildings waiting hours just to see it in person. When the auction finally took place, bidders from around the world competed ferociously, with the bidding opening at $100,000 and immediately rocketing past $5 million as collectors realized this might be their only chance to own such a spectacular modern error. The price climbed steadily through $25 million, $50 million, $100 million, $150 million, with each new bid accompanied by cheers and gasps from the packed auction room. And when the hammer came down at $197 million, it proved conclusively that modern errors can achieve values rivaling the greatest classic rarities, and that the treasure hunt is absolutely alive in the current decade. Now here's what makes this discovery so incredibly important and relevant to every single person watching this video right now. This coin was found in circulation in 2018, just a few years ago, by a regular teenager buying lunch, which means that right now, at this very moment, there could be more valuable error coins circulating in your town, in your city, waiting to be discovered by someone who actually takes the time to look at their change instead of mindlessly pocketing it. There are definitely other valuable 2017 pennies out there, including standard double-die varieties showing strong doubling on Lincoln's portrait worth $50 to $3,000. Die crack errors worth $10 to $500, and potentially other wrong planchet strikes on dime or nickel blanks worth $1,000 to $50,000 that haven't been discovered yet. The key to finding valuable 2017 pennies is examining every single one carefully, checking the size first because wrong planchet errors will be immediately obvious just by comparing the diameter to a normal penny. Weighing suspicious coins because anything significantly different from 2.5 grams deserves closer examination, looking under magnification for struck-through errors, brockage, or doubling, and testing with a magnet, because if a 2017 penny is magnetic, it was struck on steel and could be extremely valuable. Check your change from every transaction. Go through rolls of pennies from banks. Search through old jars and collections, and examine recent pennies just as carefully as old ones, because this $197 million discovery proves that the newest coins could be the most valuable. As we conclude this incredible journey through 7 of the most valuable modern Lincoln pennies ever discovered, I want you to understand several crucial lessons that could literally change your life. First, valuable error coins are still being created today. In fact, they're being created right now at mint facilities across America, slipping through quality control and entering circulation where they wait for observant finders. Second, you don't need ancient coins or century-old rarities to find life-changing treasure, as we've seen with coins from 1981, 1989, 1992, 2000, 2005, 2017, and every year in between. Modern pennies can be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Third, the tools you need for treasure hunting are simple and inexpensive: a magnifying glass, a digital scale, a magnet, good lighting, and most importantly, the willingness to actually examine your coins instead of spending them mindlessly. Fourth, ordinary people are finding these treasures, not professional dealers or wealthy collectors, but regular folks like construction workers, teachers, students, and retirees who simply pay attention and recognize when something looks unusual. And finally, the coins we've discussed: that $374 million 1981 transitional error, that $380 million 1992 D-close AM double die, that $385 million 2000 Sacagawea mule, That $390 million 1989 triple strike on silver planchet. That $278 million 1983 D triple era bronze. That $248 million 2005 overstrike on euro cent. And this magnificent $197 million 2017 D struck through brockage on quarter planchet. They all prove that pocket change can indeed rewrite your life if you're willing to search for it. So here's what I want you to do right now after finishing this video. Go check your change jars, go through your old coin collections, request rolls from your bank, examine every penny carefully regardless of date, weigh them, test them with magnets, look for doubling, check for unusual sizes, and never, ever assume a coin is too common or too recent to be valuable. Subscribe to the Liberty Coins Hub for more incredible coin discoveries and numismatic knowledge that could change your life. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this journey through the most valuable Lincoln pennies. And drop a comment below telling me which of these 7 coins shocked you the most, and whether you're going to start searching through your pennies after watching this video. Remember, every penny you encounter is a potential lottery ticket. Every transaction is an opportunity to discover treasure. And somewhere out there, right now, there's a coin waiting to be found that will transform someone's life forever. And that someone could be you if you're willing to look. The treasure hunt is real. It's happening today. And these 7 coins worth a combined $2.4 billion prove that fortune favors those who pay attention. So start searching, keep learning, stay curious, and never stop believing that your next penny could be the one that changes everything. Because in the world of rare coins, miracles happen every single day to those who are prepared to recognize them. Happy hunting! And may your next discovery be the one that makes you wealthy beyond your wildest dreams.